they can share with other departments as a way to introduce them to the complexities of fraud prevention and how it impacts users as well as other elements of the organization. It's a pleasure to see that this book finally exists. The bad actors are successful because they work together and share both information and a broader understanding of their field. It's imperative that we do the same. Carice Hendrick, founder and principal consultant of Chargelytics Consulting and host of the popular Fraudology podcast. Preface. With commerce comes fraud, wrote Airbnb co-founder Nathan Blecharczyk back in 2010, and it's safe to say that the maxim has proven itself over and over in the years since then. Global online sales reached nearly $4.29 trillion in 2020, with more than $1 out of every 5 spent online. Fraudsters follow the money, making online fraud bigger, smarter, and bolder than ever. Fraud fighters, with their heads down in the data, excel at identifying new suspicious patterns and tracking down perpetrators. The constant pressure of fraud prevention means that often, day-to-day activities prevent fraud fighters from taking a breath, putting their head above the parapet, and looking around to see what's happening outside their company or their industry. The purpose of this book is to provide a wider and more strategic perspective, as well as hands-on tips and advice. During our time in fraud prevention, we have been privileged to have the chance to talk to and see data and trends from a wide range of merchants and organizations. It's that breadth that we want to share in this book. Introduction to Practical Fraud Prevention. Online fraud has been around almost as long as online banking and online commerce. Fraudsters go where the money is and wherever they can spot an opportunity. It's worth noting right at the start that when we refer to fraudsters, we're talking about threats external to a business. This book does not discuss internal fraud or risk or employee integrity issues. There's certainly enough to be said about external fraud online, a problem that businesses have been worrying about for decades now. Julie Ferguson, CEO of the Merchant Risk Council, remembers the early days of e-commerce 20 years ago when she'd help her clients set up stores online and watch in horrified awe as fraud attacks would hit the very first week, or sometimes even the first day of a shop's existence. At that time, there was often a physical aspect to online fraud. Card skimming was common as a means of stealing physical card information, perhaps carried out during a legitimate transaction or at an ATM. The card information might be used online to make purchases, or fake cards might be created to attempt transactions in physical stores. Sometimes the card data ended up online, on the forums that were quickly developing to enable criminals to interact with one another on the internet. Other times the fraud was very simple, with a cashier just copying the card information and attempting to use it to make purchases online. Card-present fraud hasn't entirely disappeared, but there's no question that a combination of chip and PIN technology for card-present transactions and the sheer scale of online interactions and commerce has put card-not-present fraud center stage. One 2021 study found that 83% of all fraud attacks involving credit, debit, or prepaid cards occurred online. That's the world in which fraud prevention teams now live and breathe. The onset of the COVID-19 pandemic in early 2020 accelerated digital transformation of all kinds as people adapted to the convenience and temporary necessity of shopping and interacting online. One report found that in 2020, 47% of people opened a new online shopping account, while 35% opened a new social media account, and 31% opened an online banking account. All of this presents financial opportunities for online companies, but not without fraud risks. Nearly 70% of merchants said chargeback rates rose during the pandemic.